all please stand?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we'll do our Project 351 8th grade representative to visit the State House.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with your permission, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Gagnon, who's going to share a little bit about the Project 351 representative.
Thank you, Dr. Burnell, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Pleasure to be back here again talking about Project 351. This is the 9th year that we've been able to give ourselves of our ambassador from the Auburn Middle School. And we are going to give you a little bit of background and then talk a little bit about Chloe, and then we'll do a presentation. So Chloe Amanda Norwood was our chosen candidate to be an ambassador to represent us on the Martin Luther King weekend. A little bit of history, this goes back to Governor Deval DePatrick, who started this initiative up, and what he envisioned was a day of service for all the 351 8th grades that there are in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we have a convocation where they bring all 351 to Boston. It's a great day where students are involved heavily in community service. They come back and they talk about the community service they do out in the greater Boston area. Cradles to Crayons, they go to homeless shelters, they prepare food for soup kitchens, and then they talk about how they can come back into their own communities and start up projects so that it continues. Chloe was nominated along with 6 other students by their 8th grade teachers. We interviewed each of the students, and Chloe stuck out as being the most passionate about community service. She's also a president of our National Junior Honor Society. She'll be working one of our races coming up for the 5K and encouraging her other students to do that as well. Chloe is going to be a great representative and ambassador for us as she goes to Boston on the Martin Luther King weekend, and we hope to have Chloe back to tell us about her adventure. So I have, with your permission, I'm going to present Chloe with a certificate of recognition for her participation and being our ambassador for the Project 351. Chloe Amanda Norwood, congratulations.
Chloe? Oh, after you get done, would you mind coming up so everybody can shake your hand? Please?
Oh, yeah.
Do it after.
Yes,
And you're all
okay.
set.
Did you have any questions for Chloe?
Huh?
Did you have any questions for Chloe?
Anybody have any comments?
I'd just like to say congratulations. That is so wonderful to be chosen like that.
Thank
You know,
you.
you want to serve our Auburn community, and that is just terrific. Thank you.
Through the chair, congratulations. You obviously made a huge impact on both your peers as well as the teachers and faculty at the school. So have a blast. It seems like a really amazing experience from all the kids that have come through in years past, and we hope that you'll come back to give us a report afterwards.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you for representing Auburn.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you as being a community servant, more or less, because you do so many things to help out the community. And I just want to say thank you for that, because I know it is a hard thing to do at times, but when good people like you that's so great you come up and do these things to help out, it makes everybody look good, and I want to thank you.
Whoops. Thank you, and you have fun when you do this.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Through the chair,
Sure.
typically what we do is invite the Project 351 representative to come back. So we'll coordinate that with her so she can share all of her great experiences, but we know she'll be a great representative to everyone across the state from the Auburn Public Schools.
Okay. Next, we have the MCAS Next Generation Perfect Scores. You just arrived?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that now then.
Okay. So what I'd like to do now is introduce to everyone Matthew, if you want to go over to the podium so I can just share a little bit about some of your accomplishments. So Matthew Tran has been selected as the Worcester County Superintendent's Scholar. And this is an event that's held annually in January. Matthew, Mr. Hanfield, and myself will go to a local college and enjoy lunch together, and then he will receive a small gift. And we'll get to hear about the accomplishments, quite honestly, of other tremendous students, such as Matthew. But to introduce you to him, he is currently the class of 2018 valedictorian with the highest GPA of 4.3 out of a 4.5 scale. He's a member of the National Honor Society, serving as the treasurer, and he is on the varsity math team. Matthew is a member of the track team, and his non-academic interests include being a volunteer at UMass, a camp advisor, and food pantry volunteer at SWIC, as well as being a member and treasurer of his church youth group. Matthew is interested in attending medical school in the future, and he's looking at Boston schools, with Northeastern being his top choice. So I introduce to you Matthew Tran and offer my sincere congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a couple words?
Yeah. Well, first of all, sorry for being late.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm very deeply honored to receive this recognition, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to continue my path going forward in education. So thank you very much.
Okay, anybody at the committee have anything they would like to say?
Through the chair, congratulations, and just another shining example of where I'm really proud to be a part of this community and glad that my child is in the school system. So thank you. Good luck.
Yeah.
I would just like to say congratulations in Northeastern. Your school of choice would be lucky to have you.
Congratulations, and good luck next year. And well done.
I'd like to say congratulations, keep up the good work, and keep making Auburn proud. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have you come up and shake everybody's hand. Thank you.
Good luck in Boston.
Thanks.
So the next item I'd just like to recognize, as we have had before us tonight so far, Chloe and Matthew are shining examples of the truly amazing students we have here in Auburn. And I would like to announce to you there are a number of students who participated in the MCAS test this past spring who earned perfect scores, which I can share with you is not an easy feat. But in recognition to them, I would like to read their names aloud so that we can give them a congratulations as well. Going from 3rd grade into 4th is Naomi Durst. In ELA, grade 4, coming from grade 3, Carly Bemandifer and William Given. Science, grade 5, now grade 6 students is Isabella Faber, Joshua Schnee, and Emma Toscano. For math, grade 7, now in grade 8, is Carter Coughlin. Science, grade 8, now grade 9 students, Connor Halloran and Audrey Johnson. Mathematics, grade 8, now a freshman, Chiara Fiola. Math, grade 10, now a junior, Jared Sargent. And ELA, grade 10, also now a junior, Madison Poshkus. So congratulations to all of them for earning perfect scores and demonstrating true proficiency, or beyond proficiency, I guess I would say, in these tests.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. And we'll move on to, is there any citizens' comment? Seeing none, I will turn over to the superintendent for her report and the budget presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this evening we have the principals of our schools to present their budget presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to our elementary principals, Dr. Chamberlain, Mrs. Stanek, and Dr. Lopez, as well as Mr. Lavelle.
Do we, maybe some people would like to leave?
Actually, that's a good idea. If you want
Yes,
to
if
let
anybody that got the award and stuff need to leave or want to leave, they can. You don't have to stay through the whole meeting. The rest of you have to stay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
night. Thanks. Well, good evening. Those are hard acts to follow.
What's your score?
We don't have to go there. So tonight is elementary principals. We'd like to begin our presentation with a quote that captures our belief in the mission, vision, and core values of the Auburn Public Schools. And the quote being, "Continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential." So embedded in this belief and at the heart of our work are certainly our students, as we saw this evening. And so we put together a very brief little presentation just to bring the kids into our presentation, because that's really what drives our work. So hopefully, Eric. So just a little taste of all the good things that are happening. And we're gonna stop that. And get up our presentation. So we just, you'll see that what we've done through this presentation is really focused on our students. And the budget decisions we've made are the same. So in keeping with in grades let's start again. All right, so there's our quote. That was Winston Churchill, and we thank him for that quote. So I'm going to present to you about the teaching and learning piece of the work that we do. And in grades pre-K to 5, we continue to push ourselves to refine and enhance how we use the data that we collect, and how that drives the instruction our students receive each day. So over the past year, we've worked really hard to elevate how we use that data and what we look at. Primarily in the areas of reading and math. And our data collection cycle includes the collection of data from DIBELS testing, DRA testing, MCAS, iReady is now a big piece of what we do. And this enhanced process really has helped us to fine-tune our instruction for all the students across grade levels. And we've further developed our use of technology, incorporating that, so how we meet the needs of students to provide both extension and remediation activities. We can't believe it, but we're entering our year 2 of Wonders and our 3rd year of Go Math. And through that, we're placing an increased emphasis on the targeted use of the tiered resource materials that come with that. So now that we have a good understanding of the core curriculum, now we're really getting better at digging into those tiered resources. And this ties to that use of data. So what resource matches what the student needs. And what we've been able to do is our students now we've been able to give them similar assessment profiles based on how they perform on assessments, and then matching them to appropriately matched tiered instruction so that they get exactly what they need in English language arts and mathematics. And while all students are really benefiting from this process, students in our co-teaching and inclusion classrooms are really benefiting as well, that we can provide this targeted instruction. This past summer, we already began our work on the new science standards that were issued by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And teachers already began looking at what were new topics that were there in the standards, what were recurring topics, and how are we going to address those moving forward this school year. As we move forward this year, under the guidance of Dr. Lozay, the Science Curriculum Committee will be looking at programs and resources to determine what types of materials we may need to adopt or curricula to adopt so that we can really do that in an effective and forward-looking manner.
Professional development continues to be targeted and tied to the needs of the staff. The half-days that have been built into this calendar year, this school year, have really allowed us to go in depth with topics related to the use of data, curriculum review, making sure there's consistency in practice across the grade level, working on the science curriculum and writing also. The professional development on those days takes place across the grade level and includes regular and ongoing collaboration between Jen and I, now being Packagug and Bryn Mawr, the only two schools that are kind of separated, but we meet together regularly. Learning walks, which you've heard about, began last year at Auburn Middle School in Bryn Mawr, and this really allowed us to calibrate our practices and experiences in classrooms as administrators, focusing primarily on what is a well-structured lesson. The conversations that we've had have been really powerful and productive, and it really helps us to know that our high expectations are similar when we're looking at the instruction that we're seeing. Each school, through those learning walks, also received some feedback, and it came as glows and grows, so places where we were doing great and places that we can continue to grow. And this year, each school in the district will have 2 learning walks, so we're looking forward to those, and some have already started. And finally, as you know, our preschool has grown tremendously over the last several years, and we now have 5 classrooms, 3 at Auburn High School and 2 at Packagug. The addition this past year of the sliding fee scale, I think, was a huge addition, allowing for much greater accessibility to preschool programming by our Auburn residents. And we know that this expansion is going to have a positive impact on the experience our students have as they enter kindergarten and as they continue their experience with the Auburn Public Schools. So a lot of great things happening. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lopez.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to once again present the K-5 budget, and specifically its alignment to the district's strategic plan as well as the school improvement plans of Bryn Mawr, Packagug, and the Swanson Road Intermediate School. As you heard from my colleagues last night and just now, technology is and continues to be an increasingly important and tremendously effective tool utilized in all of our classrooms K-5. Our students are learning to navigate digital resources with ease when it comes to the many tools embedded in our core programs, as mentioned previously. Having a 1-to-1 iPad capacity at Swanson has increased, and the increased number of iPad sets at our K-2 schools have provided us the technology needed to truly access and utilize the tools in our core new programs. Through our Wonders Literacy program, as well as Go Math, teachers are able to quickly and efficiently provide students access to media resources that engage and challenge students with grade level content, as well as the ability to differentiate the lessons to meet the individual needs of students at their instructional level. With continuous and consistent technology in place, we are providing a variety of opportunities to practice the daily learning objectives taught through a very engaging platform. Moreover, students in multiple classrooms can collaborate on projects, work in small groups, or complete aspects of assignments independently or in digital form. Having this technology at their fingertips has promoted an increase in student independence and self-advocacy, as well as they know how to seek the resources and practice to improve their own learning, which stretches into other content areas such as science and social studies. This in turn has no doubt made a positive impact on student learning seen at K-5. Additionally, this increase in technology realized this year has also allowed teachers to more effectively address achievement gaps during intervention, using research-based computer programs to accompany the small group targeted instruction has made a tremendous impact on student gains. Regarding assessments, at the 3 to 5 level, I truly can attest that common assessments during the year that need to be taken online now do not interrupt any other classes or students' learning, nor their access to the curriculum technology tools. State testing will now be completed, I anticipate, in 2 to 3 days this year, as opposed to 4 to 6 weeks, as had been seen in previous years that disrupted the whole school's access to iPads and the aspects of the curriculum. During specials, we also see technology being skillfully embedded in each of our content specialist classes, whether it's a quick YouTube video, musical clip at the beginning of class, Plickers or other apps being used in physical education, museum pictures or visual perspectives in art. All of our teachers depend on this technology as a critical part of not only their daily interactions with students in using this, but also their instruction. Technology classes, our media specialists have really done a tremendous job working with every teacher now bi-weekly, and in doing so have expanded not only their expertise, but they've embedded those technology standards through co-taught lessons and really emphasized the science content. As they've worked also within classrooms, they've provided our students explicit instruction on the use of QR codes, keyboarding skills. I think last night, either Dr. Lozay or Mr. Bouvier had mentioned keyboarding without tears, which is always fun. There are no tears yet. Coding, student-led iMovies, which are always fun to share. Developing apps, learning how to utilize green screens now, and most importantly, being digital citizens, whether age 4 or whether age 11, how to safely and appropriately use technology, find good sources, password safety, and overall internet safety. Technology and its use is not only necessary but critical in ensuring that our students are prepared with those 21st century skills that are needed for success. In the area of community partnerships, we continue to seek new and innovative creative ways to engage our community at large. We continue to foster those relationships with our veterans as we teach the important role and sacrifice these men and women have made for their country. Furthermore, we pursue opportunities to visit or invite our senior citizens of the community to our schools and performances, and have made new connections with new homes in the area. As we support our students and families, we continuously strengthen our resource base, as well as form new relationships that hopefully will assist us in addressing the variety of student needs identified at all of our schools. AYFS continues to work closely with all of us throughout the year in collaboration with our families. UInc provides much needed counseling services with flexible schedules that meet the needs of our students and families before, during, and after school on a consistent basis. As a K-5 cohort, we strive to provide diverse opportunities for all of our students and families, not only through the regularly publicized monthly or yearly events, but to really individualize involvement activities to the degree in which families are comfortable, to ensure that every one of our families feel welcome in each of our schools. We continue to enhance the school and parent partnership through our Auburn PTO, our meetings, presentations, and events, and on behalf of the three of us in our school communities, we would like to sincerely thank our dedicated PTO for their ongoing and increased support to the pre-K through 5 students, staff, and teachers, of course. In that same vein, we will continue our connections to the Chamber of Commerce and have been truly appreciative of the numerous grants that are received by teachers yearly to implement creative projects that support student learning. And within our district, our partnerships continue to grow and strengthen with our Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School colleagues and students. They grow each year. Auburn High School teachers and students have collaborated with K-5 teachers to develop hands-on, exciting science labs. The kids love them. And our high school students also volunteer to help our little ones as they support our grade 1 through 3 chorus, which is a fun event if you ever want to see that at Bryn Mawr or Packagug. Similarly, our Auburn Middle School students mentor grade 5 students through an interface on Giant Shoulders program. They also help during our family math night to facilitate activities and games. And they also support us during school events and actually help babysit during PTO meetings. All of these amazing agencies, organizations, and cohorts really help to create a well-rounded school experience. And I'd like to end this component of the presentation by focusing on the many community projects and community service learning projects that are really embedded now in our school cultures. Whenever there is a need identified in our community and beyond, our students, staff, families, and the community at large never shies away from that challenge. In fact, they go above and beyond with their persuasiveness, ingenuity, thoughtfulness, and generosity. So on that note, I thank you, and I will pass it over to Mrs. Stanning.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to share some of our highlights and future plans in the areas of health, wellness, and safety. And please excuse my voice because I'm a little under the weather. Our nursing staff and PE teachers have many educational opportunities for our students, some of which include postural screenings, hearing screenings in collaboration with Worcester State University, dental health education in collaboration with Quinsigamond Community College, the importance of hand washing, germ safety, personal hygiene, walking clubs, and healthy snack initiatives. We are also looking to provide opportunities for staff, such as a runner's club and/or exercise club. We conducted ALICE safety training in our buildings this fall, and we look forward to continuing these building practices as safety is always a top priority. The elementary guidance counselors have put together pamphlets for our families, and they are a great resource for parents. Additionally, we look forward to our staff providing programs for parents around such topics as anxiety, depression, diversity, social media, and seatbelt safety. In the area of transitions, this summer will be the third year that we will be offering our kindergarten readiness camp. We continue to refine how we identify students for this camp by utilizing the screening data from our new screening tool, the Dial 4. This has been well received by parents, and we look forward to the continued success. Each year, we fine-tune our kindergarten orientation in order to provide families with a greater insight into the kindergarten experience. Dr. Chamberlain and I will facilitate kindergarten teachers visiting our preschool classrooms so we can better prepare for our incoming kindergarten students. To prepare all students for transitions, we continue our step-up day practices, which include school-to-school, as well as within-school visits. Additionally, we have provided and will continue to provide multiple targeted transitions for students who have been identified by staff and parents that may struggle with transitions and exhibit anxiety. Together with my colleagues, we provide staff opportunities to collaborate and ensure information is shared from grade to grade. My colleagues and I will now share the elementary school budgets. As you can see, the Packagug school budget is level funded for FY19, with the exception of the new preschool line item that has now been added to include $1,500 for classroom supplies. Do you have any questions for me at this time for the Packagug budget?
Seeing none.
All right. I want to thank you all for your continued support.
Thank
And
you.
now Dr. Chamberlain.
And again, the budget for FY19 is level funded from last year, with the exception of the preschool classroom supplies, which we're providing each classroom with $750 for materials. So you'll see in Bryn Mawr $2,250 for preschool supplies for those classrooms at Auburn High School.
And at Swanson Road, we too looked at the needs of our school, and we're pretty level funded. We've done well over the past few years. You'll notice one decrease in printing supplies. I think that's a sufficient number going forward. Also a big decrease because we did get that traverse wall in our PE gyms. So there's a decrease in that for FY19 as well. Otherwise, it's pretty level funded. Do you have any questions before I go any further?
Anybody have any questions?
Okay. All that in mind, we do, in looking at the needs of our buildings and the needs of our staff, we do have 3 or 4 requests, one at 2 of the buildings and 2 at one of the others. The first is the request for a kindergarten instructional assistant at Packagug. This request is based on the unknown numbers of students attending in the fall of 2018. Historically, there have been 4 kindergarten classrooms. Anticipating that there will be, in fact, 4 classrooms in the fall, there will be a need for an additional instructional assistant in order to maintain the level of support across the district. The second is the request for a grade 4 teacher. Based on current numbers in grade 3, as well as that of the October 1st district reporting, we will need an additional grade 4 teacher to ensure class sizes stay at approximately 23 students going into next year. And finally, the last one is the request for 2 ABAs. This is strictly based on IEP needs at Bryn Mawr School. This is to stay in compliance with the specific needs of students. Are there any questions that we can answer?
Questions from the committee?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Sure.
For the Packagug kindergarten instructional assistant, how come you're looking for an assistant and not a teacher?
Good question. Currently, there are 3 kindergarten classrooms. Moving up, there will be 3, well, at least based on the numbers, but we anticipate there may be the need for a transfer based on the numbers, but at this time, we're looking at what we anticipate for kindergarten needs.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question.
So through the chair, we currently have 4 first grades and we have 3 kindergartens. So if the 3 kindergartens go to first grade, there'll be a first grade teacher who would transfer to kindergarten and teach there. But we would need an instructional assistant to support.
And do you think the numbers are going to go in that direction?
They've stayed steady, you know, in terms of the kindergarten classroom right now with the 3 teachers. They're appropriately sized and comparable to Bryn Mawr School. It's, you know, I mean, if we were to have a large influx of students that come in that want to register for first grade, we'd have to revisit it. But we always do it based on our October 1 count. So right now, we're in good shape to do that. What we don't know, just to continue through the chair, is the number of children who will register for kindergarten. So
That's what makes me nervous. It's this assistant, I think we should, tread lightly in case we do need to go for a
absolutely.
teacher.
Absolutely, and I think that, you know, what the committee was very supportive of this past spring, when the numbers rose to such a level. Now at the current first grade at Bryn Mawr School, you added a teacher in the spring. We actually built that classroom, so we really try to adhere to the 25 or less, particularly at the elementary school first year for your protocol. So we'll continue to monitor it. But we think at this point, based on what we know, this is a safe way to go. If something changes, we'll come back to you with that.
Okay,
For
and
sure.
how many kids are in the current kindergarten classes at Packagug?
The class sizes currently are between 23 and 25.
Wow, so they're still pretty full.
Mhm.
We've had a lot of move-ins that we didn't know of
Yeah.
at registration time.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of new move-ins,
Okay.
even one that came and joined us today.
Oh, good.
Merry Christmas.
We love having them.
Yeah.
It speaks to the wonderful system we have in Auburn.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I actually do. It's actually along the same, through the chair, it's along
Sure.
the same lines of the the kindergarten teacher, but it's specifically about grade 4. So we're looking at adding an additional 4th grade classroom, their own teacher, and then absolutely, I'm all for smaller class sizes.
Mhm.
However, what do we do when that grade moves up to grade 5? Do we have a transition plan in place, or are we expecting to keep the additional class for the next year's incoming 4th grade?
So similar to how we'll handle it at Bryn Mawr this year, if all things stay equal, the first grade teacher who was hired this year will become a second grade teacher next year because there was like a bubble in enrollment. If that stays the course at Swanson, the 4th grade teacher next year, or someone, Dr. Lopez may choose to make someone else, would then be transferred to 5th grade, just to make sure that grade stays at appropriate class sizes.
Okay, thank you. And then
Sure.
just a follow-up question, where are we gonna put them? Sorry.
There are a few spots. At this time, I'm looking at different places in the building that would keep them near their cohort.
Okay,
Yes.
I know we're full, so, okay, thank you.
I have another question about the kindergarten. So when we lost that additional kindergarten teacher, that classroom, I assume, was consumed by something else. Are we gonna be able to, if need be, we need that classroom back? Is there room to bring them back? I'm nervous with the preschool there, if maybe everything shifted.
No, that classroom actually has been left intact with all of the kindergarten things where kindergarten registration is an unknown. We currently use it for intervention in meetings and various purposes this year, but it can easily be a kindergarten classroom next year if need be.
I just had one question about the grade 4 teacher. Is that teacher number 5 or teacher number 4?
It's teacher number 9.
Okay, 2 teams of 4 each plus 1.
84 staff members strong.
I forgot.
Yeah, so 8 at each grade level, that would be 9.
9, wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Mhm.
Right.
In closing, we have both a quote and a brief video as well to bring us back to the center of all of our decisions, both in our buildings as well as with budget, and it's going to be about the students. We end with Henry Ford's quote, "Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." Oops. There we go. To find everything. Come on. This one. It's coming.
Unfortunately, the link didn't work.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Through the chair. I'm sorry. I have one more
Okay.
question.
Got it, got it.
Just let them
It's just not moving.
Yeah,
out there.
Just keeping you in suspense.
So we're at 25 kids for all 3 classes. What happens if 5 more kindergartners come in, in November or something?
Well, I think what Mrs. Standing said is they're between 23 and 25, so
Oh,
there are
right.
some
Oh,
classes
sorry.
that have less, I think,
Right,
correct?
so-
Yeah.
Yes, we have one that's at 23, one that's at 24, and one that's at 25 currently.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
But I would say to you, if they did, we could bring it back. What's happened in the past with the committee is you've sometimes brought on additional support staff. Now, in each kindergarten classroom, there is a dedicated kindergarten assistant, so I'm not sure that that would even be my recommendation. What I would not recommend, unless we got 30 kids that came in, and I can't imagine that's likely, I wouldn't want to take kids from the teacher that they've already established a relationship with. So I think, you said you received a new student today. Yeah. Typically during a school year, and there's no way to predict this, we typically don't get a lot of move-ins during the school year, because usually when parents get settled with families, there's not a lot of movement unless there's a extenuating circumstance. So, but we'll continue to monitor it and let you know.
All right. Thank you.
You don't want Swiss names.
They look very cute.
There we go. Yeah. I gotcha. Well, I don't want that yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chair, I'd like to welcome Mr. Gagnon and Mr. Carson to share the Auburn Middle School requested budget.
Yeah.
So this evening, myself and Mr. Carlson are tag team our presentation. And we're going to be speaking to you about the strategic plan and how we developed our school improvement plan, focusing mainly on 2 topics of our school improvement plan, that being teaching and learning and safety. thank you for having us here tonight.
So, first slide talks about the mission statement, and our vision is to educate and prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of a changing world. We are passionate about this. We have gone to great lengths over the past few years of bringing our school up to technology standards so that we can take, just like our learned colleague Dr. Lopez says, our standardized testing in days instead of weeks. And we have students on those iPads 24/7, and they've been doing an excellent job coming up to date. Again, we have our core goals, which were developed with our first school improvement plan. Next, keeping with the school committee and with our superintendent's projected targets, we are going to keep our class sizes with our 7-block day at between 22 and 25 students. This year, we are keeping within that targeted goal of 22 to 25, and next year, we're projecting that we'll be able to do that as well, given the amounts of the 632. Even if we increase in our enrollment, we believe we can keep to that 7-block day. I'm going to talk to you about 2 top 10s that we are here in Massachusetts and in the nation at large. That one of the top 10s is that we are in the top 10 for the NAEP test, that the National Assessment of Educational Progress, which is called the Nation's Report Card. We're ranking number 3 right now, and we're looking to move up that ranking to be number 1. And unfortunately, we are also in the top 10 for opioid abuse and addiction. And we are number 9, and we're hoping to move down that chart as far as we possibly can. And that's part of our presentation tonight, with part of that plan, working in cooperation with Dr. Lopez, Dr. Lozay and Dr. Brunel. As you know, we're going to talk about teaching and learning here, our Auburn Middle School Innovation School. We've been working really hard, and this is part of our plan last year to bring on the STEM Academy in full force, where we saw a need to have our students have more mathematics. So last year we instituted for this year that we have more math introduced at the grade 8 level, where all students are taking STEM Math. It's STEM Math 1 and STEM Math 2. Half the team will switch over at the 90-day mark to be taking STEM Math 2. We still have engineering technology and computer technology introduced to all students in grade 7. And in grade 6, all grade 6 students will have media research as part of our STEM Academy in the Innovation School. Over the past 5 years, we've been very fortunate in having excellent grant writers at our middle school, in cooperation also with the high school. We have a few people that were at the middle and now at the high school. And we work with our colleagues to put together these grants, and Dr. Lozay, where we've started out with the Innovation School Planning Grant, and now last year we were able to bring on the Clean Energy Grant, which was a great day for our students, although it was primarily the 200 students in 8th grade that were fully involved in the implementation of that Clean Energy Day. We also had our other 400 students be involved in this as well. We plan to go forward with the Clean Energy Day whether we are able to get that grant or not. We're very optimistic, but we always plan, that if we don't get the grant, that we will implement it as the best we can with other aspects of the grant. Last year, the state picked a day so that we had some politicians there, and so they had to know. It so happened to be it was on solar energy, and of course it rained on that Monday. But we made do. We came in on Sunday. We brought in some floodlights. We had our track for racing our solar cars. Dr. Brunel came in and she raced a solar car and won.
Right.
And I think she had her thumb on the other track.
Yeah.
But we had a fun day in spite of the rain. All 200 students went to many stations. The high school came down and did a demonstration. We had other high schools throughout central Massachusetts. We had some major companies come in and talk about other alternative energy sources. This year, we have actually 2 students that are helping us write the grant. And 2 of the students are going to build some prototypes and talk about that. This year, it's about hydropower, and it should be very interesting. It goes forward. Mr. Carlson.
Thank you very much. Good evening. So I get to talk to you about what we're proposing for a new position for next year. We're looking to add a grade 6 health teacher to support some of the initiatives that we have going on, throughout the district and the state surrounding life skills curriculum, which is something that was we got as part of a grant that we applied for and won. And this money that we have and this curriculum that we have needs to be presented by somebody, and we figured the earlier the intervention, the better, the higher rates of success going forward. This opioid epidemic, as Mr. Gagnon alluded to, we're number 9 in the nation, and if you look back, it wasn't too long ago, well, we weren't even on the radar. The 95 corridor really provides, it's great access down to go to Florida in the winter, but at the same time, it also is a major trafficking place, and so the major cities that lie along 95 corridor have really brought everything up north, and now we have to really start to plan for this, to talk about it, have real conversations, and among other things, other health topics, which I'll get into the next couple slides, but that's one of the major things, and we need somebody to deliver that in the 6th grade. We believe that would be half your course, roughly, getting everything out. There's a bunch of modules that come with that, and the most time that we spend on that will be most beneficial to the students. We would continue that life skills curriculum in the 7th grade, and guidance would support that by working in collaboration, most likely with either the physical education teachers or through a combination of our enrichment classes. Something along those lines that will be developed. They've gone to trainings in the state, all part of the grant, to be able to deliver that. And then in grade 8, it would just be a continuation of the health curriculum. It's a few less modules, and that can be done through the physical education department through their classes, which they currently do as it is. We'll just incorporate that moving forward. Also, Project HERE, which is, the Attorney General saw that we were in the top 10 in not such a great way, and decided that we were going to get money, and we were going to put money into this initiative about trying to raise awareness towards substance abuse, among other things. So as part of this initiative, there will be money out there. They'll be giving us access to Project HERE, which there's more information to follow. But some of us will be being trained in that throughout the next couple months. So moving on, kind of bring it back to the health curriculum. If you notice highlighted in blue, these are the things that we would be covering. These are the standards, the curriculum frameworks. In blue are the things that we would cover in grades 6 through 8. We would start with the basics in the 6th grade, hit up most of the things, and then each year reinforce key components of that. So we'd hit up nutrition, mental health, family life, interpersonal relationships, disease prevention, tobacco. We would skip the rest of the things or briefly touch on them, as that a lot of those are addressed at the high school level and may not necessarily be at that age appropriate, if you will. So we will stick with the things that we will see will probably cause the most effect on the students moving forward. In the January, we have, you've heard about this last night, the SBIRT training that all of our guidance people and school psychologists have had. Mr. Gagnon and I have been involved in that as well, developing a plan. All 8th graders will be screened coming up here, and we will go through the 5 questions, and we will go from there and see what's happening through our tiered intervention that the SBIRT gives us. But that's something that'll be coming up, and that's. Lastly, we're going to finish off with Chris Herron as part of the grant that Dr. Brunel, Dr. Zay, and the town worked on to get. It started with our Vigil of Hope that we had in last month, and this is kind of the phase, the final phase for this year. Chris Herron will come. He'll be doing a session at the school, at the middle school, and some of the high school, I believe, and then probably be offering some sort of nighttime session. So that is going to be a really big thing for us. As you may or may not know, he's a former NBA star, one injury, he led to prescription pills, which led to addiction, which led to, his life kind of throwing away all the opportunity that he had. So he really talks, he puts on a really dynamic performance for the kids. Actually, I shouldn't say performance, because it's not really, he talks about his life, and it really touches home with a lot of kids. So he's a great thing, and that's going to be a great thing to look forward to. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Mr. Gagnon.
Okay, continuing on health, wellness, and safety. On the 23rd, I believe, we're going to be bringing in Point of View through the Campbell Multimedia Productions. The students look forward to this action-packed 45-minute presentation. It's always poignant in terms of hitting the values that we all want to see in our children. It also hits topics about, not only bullying, but leadership, and, taking a look at, this one in particular, and another person's point of view is what the topic will be. After students view the video later on in the afternoon, they'll go back to their home rooms, and there's some questionnaires for open dialogue that we give to our teachers. So it's a video for each of the 3 grade levels, and then the questionnaires that go back later in the day for those students. Community partnerships to strengthen and create collaborative partnerships. We will continue to expand work and community service learning relationships with our neighbors at the Auburn Life Care Center of Auburn. Both our National Junior Honor Society and our Student Council students, along with our Spark class, have already gone over several times, as well as our band and chorus will go over. And they really enjoy working with the seniors. And the seniors really enjoy our students. They made scarecrows this fall together. They're going to go over and make Christmas cards, which they did last year. There'll be some caroling. In the spring we continue, we go over and we have a little sweetheart get together. So much so do the students enjoy it that we had 1 or 2 of our students continue throughout the summer on his own program. In our first meeting that we had with the chamber, one of the members there was talking to me about the student, and I didn't know the student had done this on his own. And I knew exactly who they were talking about, and I said, very nice for that young man to continue that and inspire others to work with our seniors. This year, actually, Mr. Carlson and Ms. Bailey headed a relief effort for the hurricane relief, and it was a district-wide effort. It started at the middle school. Mr. Carlson and I went up, and Home Depot was very generous to us in partnering for us to purchase over 60 buckets that we utilized in our homerooms. Then our other sister schools went as well on this project. All told, I believe there were 109 buckets that we sent down to, which are going to go to Puerto Rico, Texas, and Florida. The buckets were really specific on what needed to be put in them. It was a great effort by our Student Council and National Junior Honor Society to not only fill those buckets, but to sort them, prepare them. Mr. Carlson and a few of our teachers threw the buckets in their vehicles and drove them over to the center where they needed to go, where they were going to be loaded on a tractor trailer. So it was really a great community effort with all of our Auburn schools. We still continue our community partnerships. The NaNoWriMo, this is the month of November. This is an unbelievable event that happens at the middle school every year where students and their teachers volunteer to write 1,000 words a night with a collection of 30,000 words at the end, and they write a little novel. Last year we partnered with the public library, and our students were able to go in and read snippets from the previous year's books that were published. So we have about 30 students involved, and not every student gets to the 30,000, but they have several times throughout November where they'll get together, the teachers bring in pizza, and they pull an all-nighter at the middle school, which means they're there till 8 o'clock. And then they go home exhausted from writing, but it's a good way for them to encourage each other to get caught up, as it will, if they fall behind in their 1,000 words, because they have many commitments. We also are, with my department head Jess Young in English Language Arts, and Gene Collins over at the Auburn Public Library. This is a goal of mine to finish this year, is to have every one of our students have a public library card. We started last year in 8th grade, and they went on to the high school. What that allows them to do is access an app called Overdrive. And in Overdrive, that app allows them access to every public library in the state of Massachusetts where they can pull out any book that they so choose that's available in electronic print. But they can also do through this partnership, we met last year with Ms. Collins in our whole ELA department, is they can order a book. Ms. Collins and their staffs will put it aside for them and will bring it to the middle school, and they can drop off at the middle school, so those students who don't have that opportunity for a ride to or from the library will have an opportunity to get an actual paper book in their hand. Because we really still are a hybrid community in terms of both paper and electronic reading. Transitions, which is another one of our school improvement plans in the strategic plan, is to continue to build those transitions with those students entering from grade 5. We have 2 opportunities for the parents to come in and students to come in the spring. We work with the students from Swiss in order to accomplish that. And in the summer, we have an open house, and it's a true open house for the entire morning and afternoon. Students can come in and just get those jitters out to see where the lockers are again, and to get a feel for the middle school, and talk with student council members who are there. They get to try a lock. We still use combination locks. We're not quite there with the thumbprint on the locker to open it up. We'll get there. And so those transitions happen. And then the other rather large transition, when students are getting to that 13, 14-year-old age, they make a decision whether they're going to go to our great high school of Auburn High School, which is where the majority of our students go. And about 30 students every year decide to go the vocational route. And it's a process to get into Bay Path Vocational. They have to apply, they have to have an interview, and then they have to, of course, complete their course of study. And paying particular attention to their attendance, which we do as well, in order for them to get in. So those relationships still continue. In technology, there wasn't enough space to put all that we do with technology in our building. We highlighted a few things that we're looking to do now. In collaboration, cooperation with Mr. Bouvier, we're really looking forward to get the Apple management system per classroom. So what that will do is what the intent when I came up here several years ago to say we want these iPads to be a tool in the classroom, not a toy. And it's a difficult job for a teacher to manage students with the iPads at times. They're focused, they're a great tool. We see them in 8th grade being able to take and split the screen, be able to read a book, annotate the book, take notes. But then some of them can put that third little slide in on the bottom where they're not supposed to go. And they're very innocent in what they're doing. But with this Apple management system, once it's in play, once it recognizes this overarching, once a student enters that classroom, it has that student schedule, it knows the 25 students who are sitting in the seat, the teacher has control to say, today we're going to only be in Big Ideas Math. Hits a button that is the only access they have is Big Ideas Math. And they may go into another classroom, recognize that it's a social studies classroom where they have to do research. So they're going to have to go out onto the internet to do some of the research because occasionally we'll open a book for an encyclopedia, but really today it is much faster, and we teach them very well to utilize 3 viable sources. That teacher will allow them to do that. So we're working on that, and we're hoping to get that in play for at least 1 grade level in January, then hopefully expand it to all 3 grade levels. It's a lot of work, though, to do. We are paperless with Google Classroom at grade 8. Students get their assignment in Google Classroom. They complete their assignment, they send it back to their teacher. The teachers then correct it, send it back to their students with edits and a grade, and then the grade goes into the MIDA system. Electronic portfolios is something that we're looking to, we got a kickstart on it, we're looking to expand it to the future, where students can take and then put in a folder, either in Google Classroom or their own electronic folder, to send to their students exemplars of their good works. So it'll be easy to pass on to the next grade level and then on to the high school. We're also looking to, like I talked about, the Overdrive system. And then morning announcements are really expanding this year, just as they, we talked about at Swiss with the green screen. We have some kids that are recording different announcements, and we're hoping that, it'll be thematic. So when we have Cinco de Mayo, we may have them come from their Spanish class and do the entire announcement in Spanish in a tape and then send it out to the school. question came up the other night about typing and a cursive app. Our tap typing we've put into play because the state has as one of its standards that students need to have speed and accuracy in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in order to take these standardized testing. That first came along with PARCC, which was a time test, so students had to be not only quick, but had to be accurate. We continue that tradition now. Once every 6 days in a 45-minute block, students practice typing sentences, paragraphs, and they type on a regular basis anyway, but it's not for accuracy and speed, so we're trying to move that up. In the English cursive letter practice, that really actually came about, which was, I thought, a great idea. Dr. Lozay in a committee said that we really need to have our students be able to recognize cursive writing, because when they take the SAT and other standardized tests, some of those historical documents are in cursive. And they found students throughout the country weren't able to read those documents because cursive writing has fallen a little bit by the wayside with all the electronics. So students practice with an app, just like I did back in the day with the Reinhardt system. They practice with this English cursive practice app, and they really enjoy it. They have a good time with it. Here's our budget. Recognizing that we are asking for a position, we went level funding straight across the board because we think we can, make those sacrifices in a few areas that getting the position will help us out in many others. Just giving recognition to our school improvement committee with our parents that are on our board. And lastly, one of my favorite quotes. I had this quote there last year, and it's still my favorite, so I said, I'm going to leave it up there this year. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. I'll leave you with that if you have any questions.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, I actually do. I just noticed a couple of increases, just both for PE as well as for music and fine arts. And we're just curious about what the increases were for.
Let me take a look at
They,
that.
they were nominal, they were small, but.
Music and fine arts. In music and fine arts, that was a line item budget that was separate at one time and moved into our line item last year. And music and fine arts every year looks to purchase new music, and music is expensive, so that's really going for the purchase of sheet music.
Okay.
And so we respect that. And I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Oh, actually, it's a lot less than I thought. So it really just music and fine arts. But I do remember you bringing up the sheet music costs last year. So that's all that I had.
Okay.
I had
Yes?
a few questions. So we went on a conference down in the Cape, and it had to do a lot with the opioid crisis and stuff. So they found that one of the leading problems was anxiety in the kids. Is that going to be part of your focus with this new program?
Well, the part of the program is a fixed curriculum, and that is part of it, with relieving student anxiety. But another part of it, we're hoping that through the Attorney General's office, there'll be some more funding. We currently have a student adjustment counselor. So those students, through the teaming process and team time, are identified by their guidance counselors, and that's passed on to our student adjustment counselor. And that's where the SPARK program came into play. So we definitely target about 30 students that see not only this guidance counselor. We also have outside agencies who come in, UINC being one of those, and then AYFS, Auburn Youth and Family, being the other, that we have interns and psychologists who come in and work with these students who have high anxiety.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great. It's a relief to see that we're proactive about this. A lot of communities down
Yeah.
there are in the trenches with this epidemic, really. My other question was the writing program with the 1,000 words. Are they trying to create one cohesive novel, or is it short stories?
One novel. So they each pick a topic, and they each write a novel within that 30-day period.
Oh, okay.
And they don't work collaboratively. They're working by themselves. The get-togethers are really for encouragement and camaraderie, because these are busy kids. These are your kids who are involved in a lot of outside activities. National Junior Honor Society, sports. So budgeting time to get that 1,000 words is difficult, but they manage it. They're good management of time.
That's impressive. And then the last thing, was probably for Mary Ellen. The Apple management system, is that a subscription?
You know, honestly, I'd defer to Mr.
It is not.
Bouvier.
No,
No,
okay.
it's not. But it requires significant coordination between the student information system, the Apple devices, and our management system. So the front end work is significant
Okay.
to make it all work. But it's something that Apple provides to schools just over the past couple of years. It's a relatively new thing.
It is.
Okay, so it's included with the program?
Yes, yeah, we don't
Oh,
pay.
okay, all right, good. All right, that's,
Besides paying for the iPads.
oh, of course,
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
It comes free with the iPads.
Yeah.
That's all I have, thank you very much.
You all set?
Yep.
Gail, you all set?
All set, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gagnon, Mr. Carlson. And I'd like to now turn it over to Mr. Hanfield and Ms. Donahue to present for Auburn High School.
Geez, I don't know what's going on with my finger. I think I did. Well, I knew you were coming up, so I said, we fixed it. There we go. We're good.
Find where I am in here. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for having all of us here tonight. This is coming through shortly. I can see it on my end. There we go. Every year I always have I say it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing to follow my colleagues, but the curse is that they've already mentioned everything that we do in this district that's so outstanding, and so much of that is reflected at Auburn High School as well. So I will do my very best not to be redundant in my comments to you tonight. Mrs. Harrington, you just mentioned the word proactive, and I think that's a great word because I think what you've seen through all the presentations thus far is the proactive nature of the Auburn Public Schools, and that's a great tribute to the work of the committee, the work of our school community, and so we're very thankful for that. As you can see here, I went a little bit out of format with my own format, just to kind of round out the presentations this evening. So although I don't have a quote, I have 5 pictures of the buildings, and we are Auburn strong.
You know, you could steal a quote from the other one.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm quoted out. But just like my colleagues, you know, our vision, the mission, our shared core values drives everything that we do at Auburn High School, as it does across the district. So what I did was I picked out some of the things, and when we talk about school improvement plans and strategic plans, I think, again, to your point about proactive, we're never truly finished with the work. It's always continuing, and we're always, persevering. And so my comments and the things that I will share with you tonight, I think, exemplify that. We, as you know, are in the throes of our decennial accreditation preparation. NEASC, the New England Association of Schools, Secondary Schools and Colleges, will be coming to Auburn High School in October of 2018, and they will be evaluating our self-study in 7 areas: core values and beliefs and learning expectations, curriculum, instruction, assessment for student learning, school culture and leadership, school resources for learning, and community resources for learning. Faculty has been deeply entrenched in this work for the last couple of years, and the draft reports from each of the committees is starting to come out. So we're excited to see that, and we're excited to welcome NEASC with us to our building and look at what we've done with us. As has been mentioned several times tonight and last night, we've been participating in learning walks, and I think one of the really interesting things about learning walks for us at the high school level is, we're on one end of the spectrum, and we get to go into the elementary side. And last year we started with 2 buildings, the middle school and one of the elementaries, and this year we're doing every building. And Mrs. Chamberlain remarked to me at one of our most recent learning walks how excited she is to come to the high school. Just as I was just as excited to go into her school. And I think our focus being on well-structured lessons is a great focus, because what we're starting to find is that kindergarten to grade 12, and I'm sure my colleagues will see this when they come visit our building in a bit, Well-structured lessons are well-structured lessons, K to 12. And for us to be able to calibrate that and have that consistency among our teaching corps is a really powerful tool. And so these learning walks have been very well received and have been time well spent. Our MCAS scores continue to remain strong, but one of the things that I want to talk to you about tonight is our advanced placement program. And so over the last few years, we've continued to grow that program. Looking at last year's numbers and then reflecting on where we've been over the last 5 years, last year we had 253 students out of 520, which is almost 50%, participate in at least one AP course. And we proctored 350 exams last year across 17 subject areas. So our students are taking advantage of the rigorous coursework that we're putting in front of them. So we're very proud of that. And we're very proud of the fact that we're able to sustain that here within the school district. The online learning that we've talked about a number of times, our students continue to immerse themselves with the helps of their teachers in various online learning platforms. Google Classroom, Midas, Virtual High School, and Edgenuity are all platforms that our kids are interacting with. We're continuing to develop more and more hybrid courses, and our students are becoming more comfortable in that formats that they're going to see once they graduate from Auburn High School. And then our early college opportunities, we continue to pursue additional opportunities through Quinsigamond Community College. Right now, as I think you're also aware, we have an agreement with Quinsigamond that they were able to offer English college, English Computer 101, Computer Science 101 for $100 to our students, and they get 3 graduate credits. So that's a really good opportunity, and it's also a great opportunity to expose our kids to college at a young level and impress upon the importance of that. So, so those are the kind of the big things that are going on at our level around teaching and learning. Around technology, as Mr. Bouvier said to you last evening, we were positively impacted as well by the iPad purchasing of last year. Teachers and students all received brand new iPads. In addition to that, we also had, as Mr. Bouvier pointed out, an upgrade to our wireless access points. So the signal strength is much more robust, and the connectivity across the building now is much stronger. And the iPads are zipping right along with our kids and teachers, so that's terrific. Our STEM opportunities continue to grow. When I was thinking today about kind of the cross-section of what we offer, I mean, we're going from bioengineering to robotics to television production to independent film scoring to video game design, to everything in between. I mean, we truly are just kind of branching out and continuing to grow in those areas for our students. So we're very pleased of the STEM opportunities that we're able to offer to our students. In terms of communication, I mean, at Auburn Rockets is becoming kind of the main voice and communication vehicle for us. We have over 900 followers. And then the digital marquee I put up there because I felt it would be interesting. I haven't really addressed the committee about it yet. The digital marquee has been a work in progress since 2011. The graduating classes of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, in concert with the help of Mr. Fahey and in concert with the very generous help of KG Sign, allowed us to purchase that digital sign at cost, have it installed basically for nothing, and receive the training to use it, which we were then, as adults, able to give to our kids. And so now our kids are the ones who put the messages up. I put yours up for the Rocket 5K, just because it was timely. We wanted it up quick. So we're branching out in that regard too. So we're truly evolving, I think, into a 21st century, schooling as a district, as each year goes by. In terms of community partnerships, I won't belabor these too much. We've heard already, the great work that we do with Auburn Youth and Family. The generosity of the Auburn Chamber of Commerce continues to be amazing under Virginia Parent. We just had mini grants delivered to all of our buildings in the last month that will fund things for our teachers to do in their classrooms that would be outside of the normal operating budget. And then they also supply us very generously with scholarships at graduation time, as you've heard announced for several years. The Major David Broder Memorial Foundation, our kids participate in running and volunteering in the Klepto 5K every October. That money that is raised gets put back into the foundation, and again, there are grants available for everyone K to 12. We actually had Todd Broder, David's brother, come and speak to the teaching group at our opening ceremonies in August about the grant funding opportunities that they have. And then every year at graduation, we give away $90,000, give or take, in scholarship money, which is amazing. Amy Sampson, one of our guidance counselors, deserves a ton of credit for opening and maintaining relationships with our business community. I can't think of too many places that give away that kind of money to our kids. And again, that's just a great credit to our community and their willingness to give back to our students. In terms of health, wellness, and safety, the ALICE training is a big part of our safety plan at Auburn High School, as it is across all of our buildings. We, in our television department, in concert with the superintendent and the district safety team, Mr. Carlson, Mr. Bergman, our TV production teacher, produced the ALICE training video. That training video has actually been adopted by scores of districts in Ohio, and so we're very proud of that. But we've gone through that with our kids and continued dialogue about ways that we can improve upon the ALICE training. I think what we have found, at this point, as that has evolved over the last 20 years, that there's really no quote-unquote right way to do it. There's a general idea of what we want to do, but when things happen, we just do the best thing we can do in the moment. So that's definitely a focus for us every year. Mental health awareness, and you touched on it when you're talking about anxiety at the middle school and with the health program. Anxiety and depression is the number one issue that we see with adolescents. You start to see it in middle school. It really starts to hit the fan, at the high school level. A few years ago, we started bringing more awareness to mental health issues. We had a few years ago at the high school, we had our first presentation called Out of the Shadows, which was done by one of our graduating seniors, Sarah Kendrick, and it was about anxiety, depression, her story, and how it started in middle school and the experiences that she had. That has slowly evolved, kind of the dialogue has slowly evolved, as you know, within the district to, this is a big deal, and we need to focus on it K to 12, and my colleagues have talked about this in previous years as one of the reasons for additional guidance staff, so on and so forth. At our building, we're continuing to focus on that. This year, we're really kind of kicking it up a notch. We received a $1,000 grant from the SHINE Initiative. They are a nonprofit that supports establishing school-based mental health assistance teams that are comprised of students and teachers. It's really about bringing awareness. It's about bringing support. They're not clinicians. They're not doing any of those types of things, but they're providing resources and outlets for kids to talk and to come and say, I need to, talk to somebody about some things that I'm going on in my life. So we're very excited about that. We were just awarded that, I think, the last few weeks. And then to a kind of a next level, if you will, a kind of more severe, we have an alternative education program at Auburn High School called Project Enterprise. The social emotional piece is so big. I mean, we know that our kids can't attend to anything academically if we can't get their social and emotional wellness at hand first. And so for a small cadre of our students, some really struggle with these types of things. And so for those students, we have our alternative education program, but we've been dialoguing with Brookline High School. They have a program called the BRIGHT program, and it's an acronym for a Bridge for Resilient Youth in Transition. And it's focused on kind of more specialized treatment options for students that have more severe needs. And it really is designed to keep them in school, to help them transition back in from a hospital stay, or even transition back from, maybe an outside placement. So we have two tiers of things that we're working on. The Brookline piece is free. They have a ton of resources online. And we are dialoguing about what kind of the tiered approach in terms of how are we going to add that, what does that look like within our building. We're trying to be very purposeful in the planning and implementation of that. So the drug education piece, as Mr. Carlson had alluded to, I mean, opioids right now are big, but so is vaping, so is, marijuana use, so is chewing tobacco. We continue to address those things, in our health classes where appropriate. As Dr. Lopez, I think, mentioned, we continue to have our care program where we're sending our upper class students to the intermediate schools to talk about bullying, to talk about what it means to make good choices. And then we've had a variety of other grant-funded initiatives come into the building, across physical education and health and regular ed. Two that come to mind as I was preparing for tonight. Our physical education teachers received a grant to help students be more aware of their cardiac heart rate when they're exercising. And so they got a grant where they wear like Polartec watches almost, and then that information gets sent to software that kicks out a whole report on their kind of cardiac state, if you will, while they're exercising. So that was grant funded. And then Don Heidemann, one of our social studies teachers, received a grant, ironically, from the Auburn Chamber to do mindfulness training with students and with staff to deal with anxiety, those types of things. So there's a lot, kind of within our building that's going on to complement what you've heard, from other buildings. And then our transitions, I mean, we have a lot of transition activities. Our 8th grade transitions, we start to meet with our 8th graders in January with our open house curriculum night. We bring just the kids back in June to kind of, have a tour, have some lunch, visit with the kids that are going to be there once the seniors are gone. And then we bring the parents and the kids back in August on the eve of the first day of school, and the parents listen to Joni Geltman, who's a parenting expert, and she specializes in adolescents. And then they're off into Freshman Academy, where Freshman Academy is, there's a variety of trips that they go on to kind of bond as a class. And then there's a variety of workshops under the direction of Ashley Gore and Tom Adams, from digital citizenship to how to write an email to just, a variety of things that you would think wouldn't need to be done, but need to be done. We have guidance groups that run 9 through 12. There's and again, the focus there is on social, emotional, academic well-being. And then we have our senior seminar where we're preparing our kids for college applications, work, or the military. So there's a lot there. And again, as Mr. Gagnon did, kudos to our School Improvement Council. I appreciate their efforts. And just a couple of fun facts before I hit the budget. The class of 2017, 78% of our kids went off to a 4-year college this fall. That's the highest it's ever been in my 13 years. It's continued to trickle that way, but 78% is the highest that we've ever had. On the other side, which is another interesting statistic, is that last year our dropout rate was 0.06%, and that number has steadily decreased from 2.2% 5 years ago. So the numbers are going the right way. We're getting more going to college, we're getting more staying and not dropping out. And that's something that I think we should all be very proud of, and I think it's a credit to everybody in this room that we're having a positive impact on our kids. My budget is boring. There's no increase here, bottom line increase. There's a slight increase you'll see in curriculum competitions of $4,000. That's because we added We the People's contest fees in this year, which I had erroneously failed to put in previous years. But you'll see there that we're, a little under $1,000 under classroom supplies. Not looking for any new staff, just looking to have what we need to do the job. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions, if there are any.
We'll start with Jess.
Okay. In your budget here, it says that there was a decrease in the principal professional development.
Yep.
Are you just quitting your
No,
obligations?
ironically, no. I actually have finished the coursework for my doctorate, and I am in the process now of finishing my writing. So the financial aspect of my professional development is not necessarily needed
Wow.
any longer. So thank you.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's where that decrease comes from.
Thank you. Now, with the Project Enterprise and the Brookline program you mentioned,
Sure.
As well as, you know, the growing need for attention to depression and anxiety, our teachers must be feeling the pressure and the heat from now becoming their own, like, guidance counselors,
Yeah.
you know, drug interventionists. Are we training them appropriately to deal with that kind of problem?
So, through the chair, I would say, I really don't think that our classroom teachers are being expected to be guidance counselors and such. I think that they may be the first point of contact to the students. But there's a strong guidance staff up at the high school. We've got strong nursing staff, you know, as well. We do have a visiting psychiatrist who comes in and consults on different cases. With our BCBAs, sometimes behavioral issues can be part of that too. So I think our classroom teachers may be the first point of contact, but I don't think necessarily.
Right.
And
So
certainly in our health teacher as well.
Sure. So the process that we have at the high school, and I know it's the same throughout, is that we have kind of a tiered kind of intervention system, right? So when our teachers see a student that they feel is in crisis, it's referred to our educational support team, and based on what the teacher fills out, we have a meeting. The teacher comes down, kind of tells the team that's myself or Eileen as an administrator president, usually the team chair if appropriate, guidance counselors, and we kind of talk through what's going on with the student, and we come up with some sort of interventions to kind of help in the moment, and then we kind of reconvene in a couple of weeks and see how that's gone. Sometimes it's appropriate that the student gets fast-tracked right to the enterprise team. That's a different team. That's kind of the next tier, if you will. And then we sit and we look and decide if that kind of smaller, intimate, alternative program and what it offers is appropriate for the student. But our teachers really, they're right. So to Dr. Brunell's point, they're not really required, or we don't ask them to be kind of clinicians. But they're our kind of first line of defense. It used to be here somewhere. Teachers are our front line. They're the ones who are seeing. Where is it? Is it behind me? Oh, there it is, right there. It's been here forever. I'm glad it stayed.
Yeah, it is.
So they're trained insofar as to recognize signs and symptoms, and then turn it over to those of us who are more trained to evaluate our kids.
Okay, yeah, perfect. I just wanted to make sure there was that professional development in place to cover such problems. Also, just a comment about the CARE program. My daughter's a 5th grader at Swiss, and she has brought up this program many times, even though it just started. It was an old babysitter that came in to talk to them about bullying or whatever, the first class that they had, and she was thrilled. So I think that kids talking to kids is like a genius move here.
So the genesis of that, so there used to be DARE, right? And so when the funding for DARE was cut on or about, or somewhere around 2003 or 2004, I remember having a conversation with then Jay Johnson, who was on the Auburn Police Department, now retired, and it was, well, there's still a need, what do we do? And so one of our young ladies, Brittany Tolman, who has graduated, she graduated in 06, came up with the idea of, well, why don't we just call it CARE and do the same thing? And so that's really what we did, and that's really kind of that was the genesis of it, and it's still going strong, 13 years later. So definitely serves a purpose, and I think our kids are just as excited to go as I think the younger kids are to see them. So as they mentioned earlier, it's really a nice kind of relationship that we have among the kids. Helps foster community and give them positive role models.
That's great. And one more question. The grant for the SHINE program, now that you have the money, when is the program going to implement?
So we actually have a meeting on Tuesday, we meaning the guidance counselors, myself, and there are two students who would like to kind of be, kind of the inaugural, shine, I don't know, chair and co-chair, president, vice president, whatever. They put together a PowerPoint that they're going to share with us, adults, on Tuesday, and then once we see, and what their presentation is kind of, what's the mission going to be of the school-based team, and we're going to work with them to kind of hammer out what this program is, because we really want it to be student-driven. So once we get that in place, then it's going to be a function of kind of then putting together an action plan of activities, and what does the training for the kids have to look like, what does the training for the adults look like. Obviously we're going to have consultation with Dr. Brunel and Mrs. Reedy and Dr. Lozay, but I'd like to see a couple of 3 events February to June to get us kind of started, and then obviously be ready to roll into it immediately in the fall.
So when the wheels are in motion, can they come back and I want to see this video and stuff?
Sure.
Kind of hear more about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we come back to visit for, program of studies, and so we come back to visit for a number of things, so I'm happy to bring guests.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So I want to commend you, as well as everyone who was presented last night and tonight, about your approach to treating the whole student. I love that. It's so important, and you can tell they genuinely care, and it's not just about the test scores. And I bring that up specifically for you, Casey, because I had some questions about the senior seminar.
Sure.
Specifically regarding financial responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious, just given this, where we are with student loans.
Right.
And I guess, how much education do we give to our kids when they're applying to college, when they're
Right.
thinking about what they can take, and do they understand how to read a paycheck? I mean,
Right.
to me, that seems like a pretty big.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So when we started, senior seminar is probably, I don't know, Dr. Brunel, what do you think, 5 years old now or so? I can tell you that at the outset, what we found, and part of the reason why we started it was for the very thing that you're discussing, is that we were finding that there was too much, people were approaching it like they were going out to buy a pair of jeans. It was all about the brand name and not necessarily whether or not they were durable. And, what I used to say, and I still say it, is it's the Chevy versus the Cadillac argument, right? We can both jump one right now and drive 50 miles an hour, and we're both going to get to Boston at the same time. You went in a Chevy, I went in a Cadillac, but we still got there, right? So, part of this decision is driven by, no pun intended, family finances, and what they can afford. But illuminating kids to, exactly how much debt you will incur and what that looks like on the back end when you graduate, and then you factor in what your major was, were all things that, were one of the driving factors behind seminar. So it is a very large piece of the discussion. The way that the seminar flows is, it's kind of starting the college search process in the junior year. And then as they get ready in September of their fall of their senior year, then it's the applications, and then it's okay, let's think about cost, and let's do all of that. So it's definitely factored in there. And when we look at where our kids are getting into, they're getting to very good schools, but then when we're looking at where many of our kids are going, I think many of them are looking at that Chevy Cadillac argument, so it's definitely a part of what we do.
Great. No, that's great to hear, because some kids, they don't know what the pay stub looks like.
Right.
$30,000 isn't
Right.
$30,000.
Right. Well, when they think $30 is a lot of money, then that's but that's what we're faced with. So yeah, it's it's in the curriculum, and we talk about it with them. And the other thing that we're seeing too is we're definitely seeing an uptick in parents and their kids attending financial aid nights. That used to be somewhat of a sparsely attended event, and we're starting to see the attendance really be strong at those. Because people want to be informed about all the different ways of financing a college education, without being in hock until you're 80, to do it. So.
Well, thank you. That's
Sure.
all I have.
Yes, no, I do have one question. I have to share a story. I have a friend that's a college treasurer, and she summoned a freshman student to see her because her check had bounced, and she was trying to explain to the girl about the problems. And she said, "But I still got all these checks in my checkbook. Why? I got 20 more checks I can write." So I'm glad you're doing a course like that.
You gotta understand there's gotta be something in there for you to write the check or swipe the
She
card.
didn't have a clue. She just thought she had all those paper checks, and she was all
Oh,
set.
yeah, no.
My only question involves the AP courses. So what class can they start taking? A freshman, sophomore, junior?
So yeah, so we want to give them an opportunity as early as possible. So their freshman year, they can go into AP World History as freshmen, and that's a nice kind of blend of reading, writing skill development that they're going to need in their more, kind of the more advanced ones. But yeah, I mean, we have probably we average about 26 to 30 kids in AP World History every year as freshmen. So we like to try to get them exposed as quick as we can. And then from there, once they hit their sophomore year, I mean, there's AP Statistics, there's English Language, English Literature, AP Biology. I mean, it just kind of takes off. So.
And once they start younger and realize they can do it and it's not impossible, it probably
Yeah.
encourages them to take more too.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's great.
yeah, and I'll tell you, my daughter's a great example of that. She took AP World History. She hates history, but I just said you need to get in there and figure it out, and Melissa LeBeau, who teaches it, does a fantastic job with understanding the trepidation that kids have entering into that, as well as the parents, and she really does a nice job nurturing, kind of them along. And like I said, developing the skills and refining the skills and preparing them to move forward. And she does a great job. So yeah, we encourage them.
And I assume that's why so many students have higher than 4.0s, because they get extra credit for the AP courses.
Yeah, so we're in a 4-5 scale. So the 4-5 tops out. It's the equivalent of 100. So students who are in advanced placement courses and honors courses, there's a weight attached to those. So that's, when you heard Mr. Tran tonight has a 4.3 out of a 4.5. I mean, he has a 98 out of 100. So it's pretty good.
Sure is.
Yeah. So that's what that is.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Jess, go ahead.
One more question through the chair. The Quinsig credit program.
Sure.
Do we cover students that are financially strapped
Mhm.
but still want to take these courses?
Yeah, I will let Dr. Brunel answer that, but I mean, I don't think there's anything in the district that we don't help.
So through the chair, we actually, unfortunately, the courses due to low interest didn't run this fall semester, but we're really trying to target particularly first-time college attendees, particularly in a family or even those low incomes. So part of the Helping Our Own Fund might be able to support, but the cost of the Quinsig courses, at least the ones this past year, were only $100. So we'll be able to go a long way in helping to support families to do that.
Oh,
So
that
yes,
would be a great
that's our
use
goal.
with those funds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I will do, Casey.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna just do a quick summation.
Oh, I turned it off.
You did?
No, I can probably fire it back up. No, I really did turn it off.
You really did? Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't do it on purpose.
We have our fire. We have our
That's
stuff.
okay.
It's fine.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll come up. All right, we'll start with this. Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Bouvier, can you come?
I was gonna say,
back on.
Eric's
No,
here,
back
it's always
on, but it's
fixable.
on time. There it goes. I don't know all the secrets. Harry Potter passwords.
What?
Oh,
I was tripped on this game.
Yeah. So good evening again, and just want to do a quick summation about the presentations that you've heard this evening. Okay? That's all right. So I'm going to get started, and you can work on that, and we'll go from there. Okay. Thank you. So per this quote by Maddie Stepanek, unity is strength, When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. And I'd like to echo my comments that I said last night, thank all of the leadership team members here tonight, as well as the Auburn Public Schools team, because it's the work that they do on a daily basis that have brought us to the great place where we currently reside. As you saw in the presentations last night and this evening, this budget was really driven by our shared core values, as well as our mission and vision, always against the backdrop of asking, how will this impact students and their achievement? You saw strong reference to the strategic plan that's currently in place, with the understanding that we will embark on this journey again on Saturday with about 130 participants we have confirmed now. Keeping with that strategic plan and the goals as outlined by school committee and the leadership team, just to highlight for you some of the requests that are being made. In terms of student safety, as we've indicated previously, it truly is paramount, whether it's their physical safety, their emotional safety, and their academic safety. It's something that we take very seriously. We are asking for a BCBA, an additional board-certified behavior analyst, to support our students in their social and emotional, as well as their behavioral needs. We're requesting an increase in the athletic trainer hours to support our students physically during athletic events. Per IEPs, asking for IA and ABA support, and then also to maintain the safety funding that's in place to implement those recommendations that come forward from our safety advisory team. In terms of student achievement, this really is parallel and in tandem with our student safety. We really believe in the ideals of continuous improvement and educational excellence. Some ways that you saw evidence of that, we look to incorporate a health teacher at the middle school, a grade 4 teacher. We want to continue and expand upon early college opportunities. Our preschool program is vibrant, and we want to see that continue, and appreciate the committee's support in helping to reduce and remove financial barriers for families. Our Beyond the School Day opportunities that include unified sports as well as many academic, and to transition 2 of our EL tutors to EL teachers. In terms of class size, with the addition of a grade 4 teacher, it will bring us below the expected protocol set by the school committee, as well as the addition of the IA back to kindergarten at Packagug, and we'll really watch the flow of student registrations as they come in. In terms of technology, you heard all of the administrators in one way or another reference technology, and we believe that we're very fortunate in the district to have the technology that we do have, because we believe it enhances the curriculum. It is but a tool that we use, but in this day and age, our children need to be embracing that. In terms of textbooks, we do have a request brought forward. It will actually focus primarily on science textbooks and materials. However, there always are replacement texts that we bring forward, as well as any additional courses that may be added. And in terms of educator evaluation, this is something that runs across the gamut, certainly with the leadership team members, but also with our teachers who have really embraced this. I thank all of the leadership team for their work in the learning walks. They really provide an opportunity for really rich discussions around teaching and learning, which is, quite honestly, what we're here for. It's our primary mission. In terms of professional development, as I stated last night and others did as well, the work that our teachers do is very demanding. It is an exhausting role that teachers play, and it is one that requires them to truly be on throughout the day. In order to help them to continue to do that, we believe that we need to continue to provide a dynamic program of professional development that really is of high quality and helps to maintain and strengthen their capacity in working with children. The strategic plan implementation, each of the presentations referenced that in one way or another. We will continue with those five overarching goals, and we look forward, after the information we gather on Saturday, bringing forward to you a new strategic plan sometime in the spring of this school year. So in summation, the new staffing requests are here for you to see. I did put an asterisk next to the BCBA, that's $75,000, and that is not included in the bottom line total, namely because that will be paid exclusively with grant funds. As we do each year, though, we are very cognizant of the fact that the requests that we have in the school need to be considered across the town. So you'll see when you get your budget books this evening, over $2.7 million have been used in offsets to minimize the impact of the budget to the local tax rate. And those offsets have come from grants, school choice, Medicaid, and all of our revolving accounts. And teamwork has been a theme that you've heard, and we really believe in the schools. Our job is to advocate for the children of Auburn and make sure that we have absolutely what they need, but also in recognition that we need to work closely with those across the community. So in total, the budget request before you this evening is $25,977,529, which represents a 3.99% increase, or an increase of just over $995,000 for the approved rate for this current school year. Just as the elementary principals did, though, that certainly is a massive number. But what we are doing in the Auburn Public Schools, I believe, and I believe I'm speaking on behalf of the leadership team, those here and those not able to be, that we believe it's our obligation to ensure that our students have the best opportunity to have experiences at each grade level, because they only get one shot at doing that. So as the photos will depict, as elementary started and ended, it really is all about the students. It's about making sure that they have opportunities to achieve and to recognize those. So whether here that you can see various examples, we believe that our students need opportunities to achieve at high levels academically. We likewise believe that they need to have opportunities to achieve at high levels artistically. To do so as well athletically, as well as in varied beyond the school day experiences. In order to do all of that, we need to be sure that we have before our students high-quality, dedicated staff members that comprise the APS team. And I know that I speak for all of us in stating that we're very proud to work alongside each of them. So the next steps in this process, Mrs. Worsbicky is this evening up at Town Hall. They are holding their FY19 budget kickoff tonight. As you know, each year, the governor's budget is not anticipated to come out until sometime in late January is typically the date that it comes out. And you as school committee members will have the next 3 meetings, December 6th and the 20th, as well as January 3rd, to review this budget, and we will put it on agendas so that you may do so. You have any additional questions, you can certainly ask them. In addition, with the governor's budget, there will still be the House numbers as well as the Senate numbers. And oftentimes, it is after town meeting in May that we actually get those final numbers. But I would ask everyone to just keep in mind that with increased enrollment this year, it is anticipated that our Chapter 70 numbers will not be level funded, that we will see an increase. So we're working to try and get a number for you on that. But ultimately, you will need to vote a number to send forward to the town manager. It needs to be to her by January 8th. So at the meeting of January 3rd will be when you'll need to take that vote. I close with a quote, but first to really highlight teamwork. It is never about an individual in one person's accomplishment. It truly is the collaboration of everybody in this room, as well as all members of our team, including yourselves as a school committee. This is a huge machine, I would say, that we are operating, and the only way for it to work well is for everyone to do their part. So I thank sincerely all members here this evening, as well as those at home, the Auburn Public Schools team, because it really is about doing together. And in closing, Aristotle had said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So we are committed to continuous improvement in educational excellence. We believe in putting our students first. They are at the forefront of all of our decisions. And I end with, I hope that you, like us, take great pride in the statement, we are Auburn. So thanks very much, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I think we're all set with this part of it.
Okay.
And we'll just move forward. I don't know if, does the leadership team have anything else they would like to say? They don't. Okay. I just want to give them the option. Jesse, would you like to say anything?
Just a comment, I mean, year after year, the budgets come in and we know, like, I have faith that you guys ask for only what you need, you know, so, it is a large number and I will definitely personally fight for, you know, the maximum amount. So, yeah, I just wanna put that out there, that we thank you guys and we know that you're being frugal, I guess.
I will say, in response to that, I think we all take very seriously our responsibility to put forward the best program that we can for our students, but to do so in as fiscally conservative a situation that we can. And sometimes those seem to be in conflict, but I congratulate everyone here. They really do a tremendous amount with what we are provided. And as evidenced in the presentations, it's about the people that are before our students, and that's why you saw many of our supply lines level funded, because we want to make sure we have the best people before them.
And one more thing.
Sure.
I mean, Bryn Mawr alone, just walking through that building and seeing, you know, how you repurpose areas and how you make it work, it's really a true testament of how, you know, you guys, you don't ask for much, you know, so thank you for that.
Dorothy?
What's the question now?
No, I was just gonna say, it seems like, maybe I'm off on the percentage, it seems like 90% of the budget was level funded. I mean, I don't know how you can ask for much more than that. And the few increases are things that people really need. I mean, we have to give the teachers and the buildings and the staff what they need to do their jobs and do the best for our students.
And I'd like to thank the team for the hard work that you do for our kids. You make Auburn kids great. You do it together. You see it from school to school. You work together. You strive for our kids. And you never say you're there. You never do. You always strive to make it better. And you can see it in your day-to-day operations. You can see it in the great children that we have in the school system that come up and go through the grades. And it's just great to be a school committee member that can sit here and have a team and superintendent do the things that you do for our children in Auburn. You ought to be very proud of yourselves. I know you don't believe in that because you're educators and that's what you love to do. But I'm saying you should be very proud of the way that you all educate our children in Auburn. And I'm very proud to know and have a team that works so well with the school department, the school committee. We're all striving for the same reasons, but it's just so great that you guys are so good. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank all the students that do what they do. The community service, the great grades they get, what they strive for. You can see it in our children. They strive for life. And it's because you people put it there, and I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Well said, Wayne, thank you.
With your permission, Mr. Chair, you may want to allow them to leave. We have a
Yes,
few more
you can leave
pieces of
now.
business.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, she does.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Great job, guys. Thanks. Oh, sure, absolutely. Absolutely, sure. Thank you, Coach Davis.
Night. So what you had before you, the principals presented their school improvement plans. Mr. Hanfield, you saw, was directly as part of his presentation, but what I'm going to suggest is that we'll put the school improvement plans on the agenda for the next meeting, which will be December 6th. You have copies before you. That way you'll get a chance to read through them. Each of them highlighted because you will need to take a vote, but we can push that up to December 6th if that's okay with everybody. Okay,
So this motion for the vote will be next December?
we'll do that, yes,
Yeah,
we'll
and
add
George
that
will be
in.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I have a question
Sure.
actually. How, so the new strategic plan meeting is this Saturday, how do we do that and incorporate their improvement plan into that? Like, how's that gonna work?
So we're gonna be staying with the 5 overarching goals. The good thing about school improvement plans, this, by the time we actually assemble the strategic plan, if we stay with the same timeline as last time, I think we brought it forward for approval like in April. So by the time you get it, the school year will be nearly over. So this plan is going to take them through this year. Depending on what results in the strategic plan, they may make some modifications to it, so they really span over a couple of years' time. So they're prepared to revisit it, but we wanted to at least have something in place for this year,
Okay.
minimally.
All right, thank you.
Yes. The other items on the agenda, just wanted to make you aware, Student Government Day. We have students that participate in this on an annual basis. It's been announced that it will take place on April 6th at the State House. Those representing Auburn Public Schools will be Emily Frost and William Wright Jr. They'll be attending a school committee meeting hopefully after the fact and come in and give you some of those experiences. I did want to let you know that the tree lighting ceremony will take place on December 4th. Is that correct?
No,
I feel like that's
December
not
1st.
right. Yeah, it's December 1st.
Yeah.
Will take place on December 1st at the Drury Square Fire Station. So that will be after our next meeting, so just wanted to make you aware of that. We'll send it, went out in a couple of the email reminders as well, and that begins at 6 o'clock. Usually there is a special visitor who comes on that night, so hopefully he will show again. And then finally, the school committee tour of schools. So we have meetings in December on December 6th and the 20th. But I've suggested here a few dates. You may want to wait to decide at the next meeting, and Mr. Scobie's here too, so you may just want to check your calendars. For those of you who may wish to attend, it's been a nice tradition, and getting to go and see the children and the staff and things is nice.
Hopefully he'll feel better by then.
Yeah. And that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
That's it. Do we have anything from the school committee? I know it's a little bit off, but do you have any things you want to say or bring up, doing with the budget? No? Oh, go ahead.
The only thing on the budget that I didn't understand, that Mr. Fahey tried very hard to explain to us, was phone charges.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that is arrived at, or, I mean, because the middle school went up so much, and I don't know how they figure it out. That's,
$5,000, I think.
yeah, it
Through the
was.
chair, what I can tell you we do on an annual basis, so whatever would have been budgeted last year, we look to see what was actually spent and then use that money in here. So I would have to follow up with him to know exactly what that difference may constitute, and I can get back to you on that. But it really is based off of, we have the bookkeeping office run a report that shows what did we spend in, for example, in the utilities in each school, or what did we spend in substitutes, and then we transfer that money for here. But I can get that, because it is a $5,000 increase, so I can report that back
We talked
at the
about
next
some
meeting.
program, but I didn't understand it. And I'm wondering, do we pay per phone call, or?
So we've transferred to a Windstream system is the company that it goes through. And we probably, I think if we looked back a couple of years, had reduced the rate so much at the middle school, believing that we were going to be able to eliminate a number of our phone lines. And we realized that simply wasn't the case, that we weren't able to do that. But I'll get more information
Okay.
and respond back on
I'm
that.
just curious, because it
Sure.
went up so much, and
Mhm.
I'm like, how do we pay
Yeah, that's
for, how do we pay for it?
Sure.
And what are we paying for? Is it the lines, the calls, I mean, we have to pay it, but I still
Right.
would like to understand it.
Sure, I can get that information for you.
Okay, so everybody's all set, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Well, what about all these other things,
The policies?
the policies?
Oh, the policies we're gonna put on hold until George comes back?
Okay.
Do we have to?
Well, it's up to the board, if they wanna vote on it now, that's,
I don't think he minds either way.
Yeah.
Whatever.
it's up to the board. What do you say, Jess? Yes or no?
Mary Ellen, do you have a preference, or?
No, so through the chair, the policies are ones that have been recommended by MASC. Some have no changes on them, some have minor changes. It's really your comfort level, how you'd like to do it. You can either vote them tonight, or we can simply add them to the meeting on December 6th. It's really a preference.
Okay, well, it seems like the committee would like to vote on it tonight, so we'll vote
Sure.
on it tonight. Do I have a motion to approve the policies?
I'll make that motion. I don't have the list in front of me. Do I need to read each one?
Through the chair, what you could say is, as noted in the superintendent memo.
As noted, the
Yeah.
superintendent. Make the motion to approve those.
Second.
And do we have any questions?
No?
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
One
Sure.
last- One final, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and a nice holiday, and thank you for your support. Your comments to the leadership team were much appreciated, so they've worked very hard on this budget preparation. We know it's a long way till May, but we will continue to stay the course.
And kudos to you guys too, through the chair, sorry.
Yes.
Kudos to you guys as well.
Yeah,
You
really.
guys are just amazing.
You make it easy for us.
It's a great team of people.
Yeah, I really do,
Great team.
Really do.
and they're great, and then they have staff that's great, so it's really just well run.
And even with their budgets, they don't reach for the sky, you know, they do it, what they believe they need, and that's it. And, you know, some years when we do the budget, and then it gets to the town part of it, and then they decide we have to cut this or that, you know, it kind of really makes you feel bad, because you know that when they do the budgets, the leadership team, that they're doing it as bare minimum as they can manage to do, but then they have to cut again. And just looking at tonight's presentation and last night's presentation, they did such a good job, and they're really not asking for much. And, you know, the way they support our kids is unbelievable, and I think we need to show as a school committee that we support them too in their budget, and we'll just move forward on that, and hopefully George feels better at the next meeting, so we can move on with it. And I'd like to thank all the school committee members too.
You know, and privately, Wayne, while we were going through everything, I was thinking, a lot of times we're asked to cut. And I'm looking at everything, I'm like, what are we gonna cut?
Right.
We need an extra teacher here,
That's
we
my
need
point.
an extra
Yeah.
teacher there. The budget's a level funded. What are we gonna cut? So I hope they're not asking us to cut this year, because I don't know what we'd cut.
Jess?
And through the chair, when it comes to the cuts, I think last resort should be cutting the mental health and the
Oh, there's no,
opioid stuff.
I totally agree with you on
I
that
would
one.
hate to see
Yeah.
those cuts.
Agreed.
I totally agree with you on that one.
It's the programs we need.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.